Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to our Triumph induction ceremony here for the 2024-25 school year. My name is Jeff Benson. I'm the director here at Easton Public Schools. I'd also like to introduce our chapter president, Hannah Farmer, who will take it from here.
Ladies, gentlemen, and fellow students, we welcome you to this important occasion. Today we will formally induct a number of students who have met the necessary Tri-M criteria and have accepted invitations to become active members of the Tri-M Music Honor Society. We will also recognize the continuing members of our chapter. At this time, I wish to introduce the student officers of our chapter. Joining the Tao is the Vice President. Lexi Weintraub is the Secretary. Lucy Luo is the Treasurer. And although she is unable to join us tonight, Hannah Lee is the Historian. I will now ask Fuji Luo, our Chapter Treasurer, to present the candidates for student membership.
These music students have been carefully selected on the basis of scholarship, character, leadership, and service. Scholarship represents scholastic achievement and open-mindedness toward knowledge and truth. Character emphasizes a devotion to high ideals and recognizes no barriers between people of diverse backgrounds. Leadership guides us to greater undertakings, and service encourages assistance and kindness to others.
We will now describe the meaning of the name Tri-M for the candidates for student membership. The name Tri-M was derived from the original name of our honor society, Modern Music Masters. The Vice President and Secretary will speak of the first letter M, which signifies modern.
That which is new in any age is called modern. It is only in looking back that descriptions such as old, classical, or romantic are given to those art forms that had formerly been accepted as modern.
Let us remember that we should study the past to effectively plan our future. This is a youth organization, and with each succeeding year, its membership will be made up of young people such as yourselves. Therefore, our society will never grow old, but will be eternally modern.
The second letter M signifies music. The treasurer will explain the second symbol.
According to the Random House Dictionary of the English Language, music is the art of sound that expresses ideas and emotions in significant forms through the elements of rhythm, melody, harmony, and color. Music was present even before there was written language. From that time to the present, it has been a source of communication. Music is the universal language.
The third letter M signifies masters. In the art field, the custom has been to give the title of master to those who have achieved a high degree of proficiency. You have met the criteria as Tri-M candidate for student membership. As masters, you have now increased your opportunities to serve your school and community. A member of the Tri-M Music Honor Society is one who sets a good example, is always willing to assist those students who are striving to better themselves in the music department, and always remembers that real honor brings responsibility. May you accept this honor of membership and the responsibility that is now vested in you. Will all the candidates for student membership please repeat the pledge? I will now introduce the student candidates. When I say your name, please stand and receive a round of applause. Genesis Diaghiar. Ben Barber. Juliana Gallins. Shelby Hodges, who is not here tonight. Neo Johnson Harrison. Madison Carroll. Maximus Keith. Patrick Keith. to carry out the principles of the Tri-M Music Honor Society. Repeat after me. We, the members of the Oliver Ames High School Music Department, in order to foster a greater continued interest, and a desire for excellence in music performance, to encourage appreciation and awareness in listening to music, to promote wider opportunities for sharing joy through music, both within our school and within our community, to advance the spirit of good music and musical knowledge, and to enhance the reputation of our school as a center for musical enrichment. Good job. Accept the honor now granted to us. I now officially congratulate and welcome you as new members of chapter number 4499 of the Tri-M Music Honor Society. May you remember this occasion and strive to live up to the aims and ideals of this organization. You may be seated. I now ask our chapter advisor to come forward.
Good job, everybody. So, I have worn many hats in this department over the last 15 years. I think we were able to determine that I think the only classes that I've not taught in the music department are high school concert choir and K2 general music. It's a short list. I don't know if I'd ever want to do that second one, but that's okay. They're lovely. It's wonderful. But anyway, so Tri-M advisor was actually not something I had ever done. And I'll be honest, we didn't have Tri-M at my high school growing up. But we did have an auditorium that sparked when you turned the lights on, so that was cool too. Anyway, so when it kind of fell to me to advise the group this year, I was really only passively familiar with what Tri-M did. Nothing really to my knowledge beyond helping out behind the scenes at concerts and events. And it was cool to learn a little bit more about what goes into the organization and what these guys help do to support the department. And I think what was most exciting and refreshing for me was that first sit-down meeting that I had with the officers, and to see their hunger to really get this organization moving forward in terms of what we bring to our community. And so just now, before we've even had induction, and obviously show choir is now in full swing, and we just finished up our competitive marching meeting, which takes a lot of everyone's time. But I can report today that we have a tutoring program in full swing now at Easton Middle School, where we have OA Tri-M students tutoring younger kids to bring them further in their musical journeys a little bit faster. And maybe serving a part of our population that couldn't afford things like private lessons and stuff like that, or even just to facilitate, I did 2 years of trumpet, but now I want to play tuba because I'm big enough, things like that. So I'm really proud of the progress that these guys have made as a chapter already, and I'm really looking forward to their continued growth. And so now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this evening, English teacher extraordinaire, Miss Megan Campbell. Oh, and Panache alumni.
Good evening, parents, friends, fellow educators, and most especially Oliver Ames High School's newest class of inductees to the Tri-M International Music Honor Society. It is an honor to speak with you tonight and reflect on how my relationship with music, first nurtured here in the Easton Public Schools, continues to sustain me. I want to say up front to those of you who don't know me, I am not a professional musician, though I have found ways to keep the practice of music alive in an avocational capacity, cantering at funerals, weddings, masses, and even working a stint in my early 20s, laughably, as a singing waitress in a small rundown Italian bistro in New Bedford. As a student, I floundered as a flutist, labored hard to be an extraordinarily average pianist, and locked myself into a tempestuous relationship with singing. But over time, singing became an anchor in my life, bringing both struggle and joy, and countless lessons, both failure, resilience, and growth. When I attended OA in the late 90s and early aughts, the music department did not have a Tri-M chapter. And yet, as I look back at that time, the pillars that undergird Tri-M, scholarship, leadership, character, and service, were deeply woven into the department's mission. While I've applied all of those values throughout my life, it's character and service that have defined my relationship with music. Performing taught me what it means to make yourself vulnerable, to subordinate yourself to something larger, to dare greatly, and frankly, to fail magnificently. See, as a performer, you become intimately acquainted with risk. You risk rejection by adjudicators. You risk forgetting the words or notes mid-solo. And you risk dropping every single bright red sequin derby hat during a major show choir competition. But in daring to face down that rejection, recover from that botched solo, and soldier on after that glaring choreography error, you build the grit and the stamina to keep going. It doesn't feel good at the moment. In fact, it feels rotten, and I know whereof I speak because those events were all autobiographical. It's true, I see my former section leader out there. She can tell you I dropped all the hats. However, what I unequivocally appreciate now that I didn't know then is that bouncing back from failure constitutes the very core of character. And friends, I promise you that that endurance is transferable across all make and manner of life's peaks and valleys. Correspondingly, I can also confirm that risk does not always result in disappointment. When it results in the jubilation of executing a particularly challenging roulade, nailing that solo, and dancing like you have fire in your soul, you become motivated to make those pinnacles the norm. Any musician who is worth their salt will look for ways to not only maintain that standard, but to rise to the next level and stave off the seductive allure of complacency. The inherent discipline that accompanies being a musician arises not only from the push-pull dynamic embedded in the risk that you take, but also in the deep sense of responsibility that performing, particularly with an ensemble, fosters. I count myself blessed to have performed over the years with a number of ensembles, everything from quartets to massive choirs. And from those experiences, I have learned that while musicianship necessitates honing your own talents, it also demands that you subordinate your ego to the will of a group, a composer, or a conductor. Playing with an ensemble should be the perfect synthesis between individual goals and a group's collective vision. Together, you pursue a higher purpose. So when you blow up practice or center your ego, you actually do collective harm because performance is not only a privilege, it is an act of service. The failures, rejections, euphoria, and accomplishments woven together with the hours of practice, collaboration, callous fingertips, and countless scales quietly shape your character and integrity. How couldn't they? I said a moment ago that performance is an act of service, and I would offer you this. When you really internalize this mindset, you will see new dimensions in your talent, and you will evolve from a musician into a steward. This interplay between character and service is at the heart of what makes music so powerful. That's because it transforms personal growth into a way to connect with others. Revered cellist Yo-Yo Ma once stated, "I think of music as a way to serve humanity. It's about making people feel more human. When you're able to make them feel more human, you're contributing to a better world." In my own life, I remember the exact moment Ma's phrase took root. When I was a senior in high school, the September 11th attacks occurred. The days following were a confusing haze of intense grief, pain, and shock, underscored by a foreboding feeling that nothing going forward would ever be the same. The town of Easton held a massive vigil out back at Moscato Stadium, where different musical ensembles from across the town, including OA, were asked to perform. From my vantage point on the choral risers, I remember looking out at the mammoth crowd with tear-stained faces and having a type of out-of-body experience. My lips were moving as we sang an arrangement of the song, The Inscription of Hope. But in that moment, I became keenly aware on an almost cellular level that the lilting, somber cadence of the music, coupled with its solemn lyrics, seemed to offer an auditory embrace to the audience, many of whom swayed, held each other, and sang along. Later, many people sought us out for the purpose of connection, to offer their gratitude, share their grief, or tell their stories of how they were affected by this most tragic of days. This event has lived in my heart and mind for over 23 years, and it completely reframed my relationship with performance. Presently, when I tell people that I have a side job as a funeral cantor, I field questions and comments like, how can you do that? It must be so emotionally draining. I could never do that. I would be a mess. And I understand why people react this way. However, what I always say back is that it is my way of providing a meaningful service or ministry. A committed performer who knows what their audience needs becomes an interlocutor, channeling clarity, comfort, joy, or escape. In a similar vein, but on the lighter end of the anecdote spectrum, I can't begin to tell you how many times I had to sing songs from the Phantom of the Opera when I worked as that singing waitress in that small rundown Italian restaurant. Our dinner crowd was largely consisted of the middle-aged and the elderly, many of whom were women who were Michael Crawford fangirls, that means something to a particular generation, and found a particular release in those Andrew Lloyd Webber songs that I myself could not claim to share. I have to confess that in singing those songs over and over again, while watching the audience inhale their pasta puttanesca, I sometimes felt the urge to go on autopilot. But when I intentionally recontextualized the experience to center the audience's needs, I was charmed. See, performing isn't about you. It's about transporting the audience to the present moment, making them mindful. You, as musicians, must answer the clarion call set before you to meet the audience where they are and make them engage. Right now, I'll ask you to draw upon your own experience. Think about your average parent attending a school concert. Odds are they are showing up tired. It's been a long day. Perhaps they are frustrated with their middle management position at an insurance company working for a clueless boss, or lost in thought about what they need to add or take off the grocery list. You have the power as a musician to remove them from that headspace and create a sensory experience for them, to transport them from the mundane to the sublime, even if only for a few minutes. You should remember that power whenever you take to the stage and see it as an invitation to create community. As new members of Triumph, the spirit of service needs to guide your practice. Consciously remind yourself of Ma's words until you believe them in your core. Be intentional and deliberate in the practice and transmission of your craft. Attach a larger meaning to every performance, and remember that by partaking in and sharing a musical experience, you tap into and reclaim the very best parts of humanity. I want to congratulate you all on this tremendous accomplishment. The Triumph and OA communities are indeed lucky to have such a dynamic, poised, and invested group of new members. As I reflect on my own journey, I see so clearly how music has shaped me, and I am so excited for each of you as you embark on this incredible path of character, service, and artistry that will one day give you the same clarity. Congratulations.
Returning members, please stand and receive acknowledgement for your continued commitment as distinguished members of Chapter 4499. Please be seated.
Oh, it's me. Thank you, Hannah. Oh, right. I officially congratulate you. Sorry. And you. Good for you. All members of Chapter 4499. You've supported the ideals and aspirations of the Triumph Music Honor Society through your continued community service. And Ms. Campbell, I love that that was a central theme of your speech because that is really what we as a department are about. Service to each other and our community. It's so important. Now it's you. Okay. Good job, everybody. And remember, coffee and cookies.
Finally, on behalf of the Tribe Music Honor Society, I would like to thank our chapter advisor, Mr. Benson, the officers, of course, and all who have made this induction ceremony such a great success. We also appreciate the attendance of all of our parents and our guests here. And as Mr. Benson said, feel free to enjoy all the refreshments that we've provided for you all. Thank you.